I'm 3 years postpartum and I haven't bounced back yet. Not physically, not mentally. I don't think any woman should be expected to bounce back. And this is my story. I got pregnant 4 months after knowing my man. We're still together. We're still planning on getting married eventually. We found out after 6 months, but the pregnancy stick already said like you were pregnant for over 8 weeks or something like that. I was like, oh my gosh, like that just hit me like a train wreck. We all know how a baby is made, but it was still a shock. And when I found out I was also bleeding, I was instantly panicking like, oh, something is wrong. And when I went to the hospital to find out that I'm really pregnant and that's what's been going on, like I was feeling very, very, very bad, vomiting already. I remember it being after midnight going to the gynecologist in the hospital, and she was talking about how, there are options to not have the baby because she didn't know if this would be a healthy pregnancy or not. And I was like, it was just a lot for me. But in my mind, I was already like, no, I'm keeping the baby. So very lucky that it was a healthy pregnancy and I had a baby and everything was fine, kind of. But for me, my man is Venezuelan Colombian. And my Spanish at that time was not good at all. We met in Spain, so there was the language barrier. There was paperwork involved, which is still going on. And it's just so mentally draining. And I think even if you have a baby when you plan to have the baby or whatever, pregnancy is tough either way. And postpartum is a different story. So we actually then decided to move a month or maybe it was even 2 weeks before I gave birth, because we were living with my parents basically, and we were like, oh, we have to get out like right away, right? So we did that. But my postpartum journey was not what I expected or what anyone even talked about. I really struggled with postpartum depression. It was really bad for me. I think it's something that's not really talked about in the way that it should be. And it's not that you shouldn't have a child because of this, but you should be aware of this and your partner should be aware of this. This is why having a village, a community, helps so much. And I didn't have that. And I struggled a lot. So actually 3 months after, we moved kind of back in with my parents. And it's kind of partially because my parents have a summer home in Spain. So we were kind of living in between. Mind you, I hadn't finished my bachelor's yet because it was kind of removed to being online due to COVID and everything. But then it kind of got back to being in person, but I was now in Europe and I studied in Canada originally. I have been able to complete my degree. It took a lot longer than expected. So if you're worried about anything like that, like time will pass either way. And the only thing that matters, you finish the things that are important to you. And when our son was about 1.5, I believe it was, my man's paperwork got declined in Spain and he had to leave the country for 3 months. That's when I decided to move back to Germany with my parents, and this was like a step back for me because it was my hometown, which I tried to get out of and I came back to. And I know these are also the decisions I've made. That's why I'm now trying to create a life that I want to live. It was really hard, even though my parents are lovely and I owe them so much. I'm so grateful for all their help. But of course, I'm a bit ashamed to admit that I still live with my parents, and still now we're still living with them basically in their house. So partially because sometimes they're in Spain, sometimes here. Originally, we moved in because my man had to leave the continent, basically. We also were thinking about saving money, so that's why I'm really grateful, as I said, for my parents. I always had in mind, oh, like it's gonna take maybe 3 months, 6 months, right? And it's now taken 2 years. And now kind of at the end of the paperwork, and I'm talking about paperwork because we want to go back to Spain. It has taken a while and it's been tough. And the postpartum depression and the mental stress, that was my situation. I don't think it's unique. This world is not designed for moms. You struggle with so much as a mother, and then if you have to go back to work and your baby's like a few months old, like that's just crazy to me. And I was lucky that I was able to not do that, but it also came with a financial burden that we're still facing. Having a baby is still so underrated. It's normal for mom to do everything, for a woman to just push out the baby, bounce back, look like a supermodel after 2 months of having the baby. And it's like, we women have so much mental stress already, and then becoming a mom, even just adapting to that role while you're still needing your mom, is so hard and so difficult to explain. That's why I think we should all be way kinder to ourselves when it comes to bouncing back. So if you're watching this as a partner or as a mom, hi, I'm Victoria. I didn't bounce back. Bouncing back is mentally a lot, and that's why I now am trying to complete a goal of running a half marathon, because it's something that I'm doing just for me. I've been putting myself on the back burner for so long, and I think motherhood is a big sacrifice. That's why I also allow people who know that they don't want to have a child, because it is a huge responsibility. Society is not made for women and is not made for mothers. Don't feel bad if you didn't bounce back yet. And if you have a goal that you've been wanting to do, even if it's small, it's our turn to find the way back to ourselves. Please, 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 please. If you're freshly baked mom, basically, not worry about bouncing back. Worry about your baby. Worry about eating enough, drink enough, the basics, and I swear there will come a time where you will look in the mirror and you will be happy and you will smile and you will have the strength to do something for yourself. So yes, I'm 3 years postpartum and I haven't bounced back, and I don't think any woman should. Period.